is up? It's your girl, Patrina Dixon. I am here today for another solo episode. So, as I told y'all at the beginning of the year, you all want to see more solo episodes. So, I'm giving you what you asked for. So, as you know, this month, our topic is conferences and preparing financially to go to conferences. So, that's the topic for today. For those of you that always come check out what I'm talking about, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. For those of you that are new, my name is Patrina Dixon, and I am the host of It's My Money with Patrina Dixon, the Money Exchange. And this show is available on all audio platforms as well as YouTube if you like to listen to the show. I am a personal finance coach, a #1 best-selling author, and I help business owners find grants, which are money that you don't need to pay back for your business, all over the United States and in some cases outside. So that's who I am. And as your podcast host, I drop 2 episodes a month, one on the first and third Thursday of every month. And this year we're doing a topic per month. And this month is about financially preparing for conferences. And if you didn't catch the episode last, you can go and check that out on any platform that you listen to podcasts or on my YouTube channel. So now let's dive in. The last conference that I went to was Podfest. So I want to talk about how I financially prepared for Podfest, what I learned when I was at Podfest, because when I tell you I'm intentional when I go to podcasts, I'll go to events and or conferences, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the intentions at that particular conference. I actually have notes, so I'm going to refer to the notes as we go about. So let's just first look at my t-shirt. So check that out. Can you all see that? It says the Money Exchange Podcast. So, and on the back, there's a QR code to get to my show. So again, starting off with, being intentional when going to conferences. So oftentimes I'll wear my It's My Money shirt, which is my overall brand. It's my trademark brand. But for this particular conference, I was going to a podcast conference, and I wanted, the goal was to get more people to be aware of my show, to know what it's about, and how to find it. So I had a t-shirt made, actually had 2 t-shirts made that has the name of the show and a QR code to get to the show. So that's the first expense that I had for the show. So as I went to think about, okay, I'm going to go to this event, what do I need to do intentionally? So intentionality relative to the event so that it'll help my brand, it'll help my show, and the path that I'm trying to go with the show. So it first started with the shirt. After saying for sure that I'm going, it started with the shirt. So I got the shirts made. I got them made at a great deal at a place locally here, which is a Black-owned business, actually a Black woman-owned business. Got the shirts made here. So that was great. She was able to get those done for me. I only got a 2 as a test run. My show really doesn't have a logo, so I need to do that later. So it doesn't have a logo, any type of branding per se. So she created this for me, and I really liked it. People identified with it when I was at the conference. A lot of people knew of me, knew me at the conference and me them. So people were able to easily check me out from either knowing my show and seeing me in the shirt or knowing me from seeing my face on the show. So that was great. So first expense. I am now in Florida. The conference was actually in Florida. So instead of flying or needing to get a flight and make a reservation accordingly, I was able to drive to the conference, which was amazing. So the conference was over several days. I had some other things planned, but I was able to catch 2 days of the conference, and that worked for me. I was able to go to the sessions I wanted to go to and meet some of the people that I wanted to meet. I actually recorded some episodes while I was there. So again, intentionality. And in some cases, I didn't go into sessions that may have been good to hear because I met with people one-on-one while I was there as well. So that was amazing. So t-shirts, so cost there. drive, so I just had to pay for gas and obviously time. But I did something very productive when I do drives like that. The drive for me was about 2 hours, and during that time, I was able to take two conference calls. In between the conference calls, I listened to my jams because I love jamming, ride and listen to my music. On the way back, I took one conference call, so I got some work done in the car while I was driving. So from a productivity standpoint, I didn't lose much while I had a nice, enjoyable, scenic ride there, not long, got to the location. And so that was the driving. So the expense was gas to get there relative to, for the transportation portion of the trip. Now, the next part was hotel expense. So it was at a really nice hotel. I've stayed at this particular hotel several times in Orlando, and I am a Marriott girl. So I had points. So I was able to use points for the hotel stay at the location. So that was another thing that was, I call it inexpensive because it was called zero. Now, that being said, because some people was like, well, if you use points, that's not a cost. But I travel a lot, you all, for a lot of different reasons. I have a lot of travel that I need to do. So sometimes when I use points, and especially when there's hotels that are like this hotel was, that requires a lot of points for a night stay. Sometimes sometimes for me, it makes better sense to just pay the hotel rate versus using the amount of points when usually it's a different amount at different hotels. So, and I'm giving you a comparison. It could be 12,000 to 25,000, and some hotels want 40,000 or 32,000. So sometimes it makes sense if you're asking for, something over 35,000 when I can pay, I'm making this up, $140 for the room because I can get two stays at another hotel for those same points. But in this particular instance, in an effort to not spend a lot of money on this conference, because I didn't plan it well in advance, I heard about it. I contemplated it. I knew I had some things going on before it and after it. So I sandwiched it in the middle, almost like a last minute thing to do. A couple weeks, not so much of a last minute, but I knew I couldn't go when it first started and couldn't stay all the way to the end. So I wanted to make it as economical as possible to get there and to be there and enjoy. So hotel paid for with points. So I didn't need to, there wasn't any money spent there. Now, where I spent probably the most money was on food. Food does not come with a lot of these conferences. It didn't with this one. You did get water, and I think in one of the larger sessions, there was some finger foods, but the line was really, really, really long, and it was happening during the session. So I wanted to hear the session, which is why I went to that session, and the line was long, and I didn't want to stay in the line. So I did pay for food. I paid for food actually on the drive. Like I stopped and got something when I got gas. I also stopped and got some food. Not stopped, but I got food when I got there. So before I went into the conference, I had food for lunch, for dinner, and then breakfast the next day, and then lunch the next day. So the cost, really the biggest cost in this particular trip for me, going to the Podfest conference, was food. So t-shirt I paid for. I paid for gas going there. I did not pay for the room, and I paid for food. So those were the expenses. From a time perspective, I got what I'll call time back by way of driving and being able to take the calls in the car through the speaker, hands-free. That was great. Now, let's talk about preparing financially for a conference. Usually, I know well before 2 weeks if I'm going to a conference. If you've heard the last episode, which I encourage you to take a look at, the guest that was on the show talked about how she plans for the year for conferences. So go take a listen to that episode regarding her strategy. For me, I pretty much know the conferences that I'm going to go to for the year as well. But sometimes as you go and meet and network and meet other people, you learn about other things that you are unaware of. It may be beneficial to you personally or to your business or businesses or podcast, whatever it is, to go to that particular conference. So if you plan out for the year, that's amazing. If you find out of other things like I did with Podfest, and it makes sense for you to go, you can still plan for it and do it in an economical way that doesn't break the bank if you sit down and kind of plan it out quarterly. So you're probably saying, and no, I'm going to say, yes, you have to look at your budget. So look at, do you have dollars? in your business's expense to be able to go to this conference. If you're going to a conference that's personal, look at your personal expenses and see if you have money to go. I encourage you to invest in yourself personally and invest in your businesses. You have to keep learning. Things are changing every day in every industry. So no matter which industry you're in, things are changing. I'm in the finance industry, content creation industry. So I like to go to know what's new, how various ways that you can monetize things that I'm doing, other people that are doing what I'm doing so that I can collaborate if that is something that is of interest and it aligns for both of the businesses. So it's really important that you invest in yourself. And the number one thing, because not all conferences, there's a cost. Not all conferences you have to take a drive. Not all conferences you have to take a flight, is time. You have to put the time in. Oftentimes, and it's so funny, I was at an event a few days ago, and the gentleman that was presenting said, oftentimes you'll hear businesses say, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I encourage you to also budget your time like you budget your money if you're doing that. Budget your time, put it in your schedule to go to events, conferences, lunches, dinners, brunches, breakfasts, coffee chats that will help you personally. It will help your business. You should always want to learn. You should always want to share. And more importantly, always want to know what others are doing and how you can help them or they help you. So always remember, I always talk about this, is not always what somebody can do for you, but how can you help someone else as well? So it's important to budget that. You can go to various different places to look at events or what's going on locally where you are. You can Google it. You can go to Eventbrite. If you're part of a Facebook group or other groups that are aligned to that specific industry, like podcasting. I'm a part of some groups that are specific for podcast hosts or people that podcast or podcasters, I think is the proper word. And then I find out about varying different things that I may have not known about for, the balance of this year that pops up. And then I, reach out to see if I can attend a speak or whatever have you. So you want to stay tied to your industry. If you are a person who has a virtual assistant or assistant that's in person, that's some of the work that they can do for you. You can have them research and investigate what's going on from a conference perspective in your area or close enough. Or maybe it's in a location that you may need to travel to via flight or plane, etc., train. But then maybe tag team it with something else. Is it in an area where your best friend lives, your family lives? Maybe you can, stay there as opposed to getting a hotel cost. Maybe you could tag it on to another trip that you have going on. So those are ways that you can save when you're going to conferences. So plan out, budget your time and your money. See if there's opportunities where you could save on the various different things. Like for me, like if you were me in that situation, going to a conference that you planned within 2 weeks and you are driving to it, if you are the type of person that you can pack your lunch or something like that, you can have that in your car. You're staying in a hotel room, likely will have a refrigerator. You can bring some stuff. So I could have saved money on food had I planned it in that way, but I didn't. So I knew that that was an expense. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there's also oftentimes there's a need for a purchase of a ticket to go to a conference. Same with Podfest. There was a ticket price that you had to purchase in order to go to the conference. It was amazing for me because they had a sponsorship opportunity and I was able to attend the conference at no cost. So that worked out really well. So again, no cost on that. But when you go to some conferences, there may be a cost associated with that. So you want to budget the price or the ticket fee or cost to go to that specific conference. And then oftentimes with conferences, there's a standard or basic level, and then there's you graduate up to higher levels if you want VIP, if you want the recordings or whatever have you. So again, if that's something that you do want, which sometimes I encourage depending on the conference, right? So if you want to go to a conference, and for me being intentional, want to meet certain people while I'm there, you can't go to every single session. So if there's sessions at these conferences that are going to go from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And some people try to go to every single one. And I would encourage you, I will let you know my strategy. You do what you need to do at these conferences, but I look at the day I look at what's going on, which ones I can gain the most from for my business. Because at conferences is not your time to share in the room, right? You're going to listen to the defined speakers for the room. If you want to share, you do your own little huddles. You sit down and talk to somebody, however you want to do that. But I go into the ones that I want to gain from the value that can bring value to my business by way of the way they have it described. Because sometimes you can go and you don't get anything, but by the way of the description of the conference and the speaker, I go into those. The other times I'm reaching out to people through the app. Most times there's an app to see if we can chat for coffee, to see if we can have lunch, we can have dinner, whatever have you. And at this particular conference, I also wanted to record using their equipment right there with people that I had never met, but aligned to the topics of my show. So I was able to record 2 conferences. So again, got something in, value to my show, went to the sessions that made sense for me based on what I wanted to get from the conference. And I had one-on-one conversations with people that I've been in some cases been trying to meet. And then I saw some people that I hadn't seen in a long time. So that was really great as well. They also had at this conference what they call a marketplace. I think that's what it was called, where there's a bunch of vendors, companies, I should say, a bunch of companies that come that are aligned to the podcasting space or that are have services, products or services that are great for podcasters to know about, to become affiliates of, to become sponsored by, all of that. So in that room, I had certain companies that I wanted to connect with, and there were 4 that I wanted to connect with. I did connect with 2 out of the 4, but really 2 connections, which was great for me, again, with checking the list of what I went there for and what I wanted to get from the conference. So it's really important that you do that. I'm just going to check my notes for something else. Oh, and the other thing is being able to record a show, if you're a podcaster going to a podcast event, that's amazing. Oftentimes, you are required to bring like an SD card, I think it's called SD card, with you so that when you record your show is on the device, the thing that you can take back and then upload it and get your editing done for your show. At this conference, again, I didn't know that this was going to be, a recording was going to be accessible to us. Not only did I find that out while I was there, they actually provided you with the device to record your show on. So you recorded it through their equipment and then they gave you the card to leave with, which was amazing. Now, what I didn't know while I was there, and I learned after for the episode that I posted that you can go and take a look at, and the link will be below, that their framing was going to be around the outer thing. Now, would I have known to ask that? Probably not. But because I experienced it, you all know when I experience things, I share with you. So if you are going to use somebody else's equipment, and they're giving you the SD cards, etc. Not that it wasn't cool to still use it, but just know that if you have branding for your show or something like that, and you have graphics or images that come up, you want to just ensure if you're using someone else's equipment, what's on it so that it doesn't conflict with what typically shows on the screen for you in your show. But again, for me, I wasn't bothered by that. I was just unaware of it until, we actually put the SD card in and saw the recording of the show. But anyway, so that's another cool thing. Now, other conferences that I've gone to, they have had recording available at the conference as well. They let you know in advance. You then can have an opportunity to ask a guest that you want on your show if that's what you want, or if you're a single podcaster, then that is what it is. But then you can have the plan time for the to use their equipment, and the guest knows to meet you at that session. At this particular thing, you could just walk up, conference, you could just walk up and get it. Again, I grabbed guests that I met while I was there that aligned to the show, and it worked out really well. People are eager to do it. So if you are comfortable with going to ask people to come and do the show, they'll be happy to do it. So don't feel like, well, nobody's here to do that. It doesn't take long. Depending on the length of your show, my show isn't long in duration per episode. So folks were happy to do it. The other thing is, I I do after my show, I ensure that people have the information that they can use. Not, I don't want to say use it, but it is right, use it. They can put it on their social. If you have Instagram, and they have Instagram, you can add them as a collaborator. So the show is getting wider reach, not only to your audience, but to their audience as well. So that's something that you want to consider if you have an Instagram page for your show. Now, getting back to conferences, again, financially preparing is not just in dollars. It's also in time. It's also in, I'll call it mental space capacity, right? If you're a person that need rest before you go. Take a break. And that's why I love when you have the opportunity to have the rooms above where the conference is, as opposed to going to another location for the actual sessions. So if you need to go up to the room, go up to the room and get a little bit of rest so that you can be refreshed and, go about your day and getting what you need to get done. Look at who's going to be at the conference. So if you want to talk to certain businesses, find out who they are, where they are within the room, so you can try to get to that specific business. And then this is another really important thing. Oftentimes you'll get a bunch of cards. Swag is cool. Now, I used to take a bunch of swag. I don't anymore. I still take some, but not as much as I used to. Swag is great, right? But again, being intentional. Taking cards are great. When you get back to the room that night, take about 10 minutes, go through those cards and categorize them. Which ones do I absolutely want to connect with? Because there may be a collaboration opportunity. If you have an interview show, maybe this is a show. These are people that I want to be on my show, or I want to be on their show. Like, have the three, sections, or put the cards together based on what you want to do. And then maybe it's just this was great, nice meeting a person, good to know, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. You don't need to necessarily remember every person's show, every person's business, to try to figure out if you can help them or they you, but you still have them just in case, something to refer back to. So make sure that you take 10-15 minutes to do that right then when you get back to the room. Before you go down to the bar, or whatever you go down to do, make sure that you do that, because that will help you when you get back from the conference to actually make some meaningful connections. Really, really, really important. For those that have electronic cards, a couple tips that I'll give you on this. Again, this is about financially as well, because remember, you're making connections that help you once you leave the conference. So if you get somebody to have a financial card, or electronic card, sometimes you tap it or they'll send you a link or whatever have you. Make sure that you are putting notes by that contact name to remember why you want to connect with that person. Because for me, when that happens, they give me an electronic card or something. Now they're just in my contacts. So if I don't remember their business because I met so many people, then it's just another person in my phone. So I immediately put when the digital card allows me to, I put Podfest as just a word next to it, so I can go back and take a look, and then I'll reorient myself as to who they are, why I met, because oftentimes there's pictures, their business website, and all that stuff in it, so I can look later. But if it just becomes a contact in my phone, at least for me, because I'm not digital at all or really tech savvy, that I don't know how to go back to those individuals that digital linked me, unless I, in that moment, put the word podcast next to their name when the entry is saved into my phone, into my contacts. So that's just a little tip. If you're also not tech savvy like I am, that's a way to go back and find those people easily. That'll save you time and money, and you all know time is money, so it's really important. So let's just go back and talk about some of the stuff that we talked about. Preparing for a conference. You want to prepare, how to prepare financially could mean a lot of different things depending on who you are, what you're doing. So you want to make sure you have your ticket, get the ticket that aligns best for you. If you upgrade to the recordings, so that you can go into certain sessions, that's a way you can do it. Most of these conferences, if not all, if you do get the basic level ticket, you can purchase the recordings afterwards, and maybe you have more finances at that time to do it. So if you didn't plan up front and you bought a basic ticket or was given a basic ticket, you may be able to get the recordings after the conference is over. Usually they extend it for a period of time that you can buy it at that time, and maybe your finances are in a better position to be able to do it then than at the beginning. Secondly, food. food can be very expensive in these places where the conferences are held. Know that. So unless your conference includes the food, you want to prepare for your food accordingly. I probably will never prepare for the coffee because I need fresh, hot, piping coffee, y'all. I need that coffee wherever I go, and when I'm doing a podcast in the morning. You want to ensure that whatever works for you. If you need a snack in the middle of the day, maybe prepare to bring those with you. If you drink water throughout the day, which I encourage, make sure that you bring your own water bottle so that you can replenish it versus buying bottles of water. You can, even if you're flying to a conference, you can bring your own bottle to put the water in. Obviously, you know the water can't be in it when you go through the X-ray, but bring your own container so that you could replenish the water without needing to buy water. So food, and also remember, food is all 3 meals if that's what you do, and the snacks in between. So make sure that you're considering how you're going to take care of that. Then it's the lodging. You may use your points depending on what makes sense for you, or plan for it accordingly. There's also opportunities to, bunk with somebody if that's what you feel comfortable doing. Is there somebody that lives near the location that you can stay there? And then the transportation. It may be a flight, do some, hopper passes or do whatever you need to do to get the flight. Maybe it's points as well, or maybe it's a drive for you. Think about things that you can do outside of it. Like if you're the podcaster, your spouse comes with you, maybe you all do an extended time there and spend some time. Maybe that'll be a ad hoc vacation for you all, depending on the location. So think about those kind of things to make sure the expenses that you're tie in to it gives you a full experience at the conference and maybe outside of the conference as well. So I think those are the things that I wanted to cover relative to preparing financially for a conference. And again, like I mentioned, getting things done. So even if you're flying, maybe there's some reading that you can get done relative to your industry, or otherwise just regular relaxation reading. Or you could get some work done while you're up there, while you're in the sky uninterrupted, I call it. So that's another thing that you can do. I often take advantage of that time where I need to focus, no phone or anything like that, and just get some work done. So, depending on the length of the flight, you can do that as well. So that's being productive. That also is giving you time, which translate to money. So hopefully you found this helpful. Again, these are tips to help you prepare financially for going to conferences. Let me say this. I went to Podfest. I had attended virtually in the past, never been in person. So this was actually my first in-person Podfest. It was an amazing event. I had a great time. I enjoyed the sessions that I attended. I met some people there. I saw some people that I'd already known. Even where I am in Florida, there were people that were there that were from here, which was amazing, that I had recently met. I went to some what I'll call pop-up sessions that happened, and those were amazing. So I just, again, please stay tuned. If there's an app for the conference, make sure that you're regularly looking at that so you can get updates and you know who's there, and make some new connections when you go. And if you need to budget, another good way to budget is via Cube Money. So down below, there'll be a link for Cube Money. I actually met Shane. I've been wanting to meet him, did meet him there. And and the link is below. So you all know I used to talk about paper budget and envelopes that years ago when I was doing some financial soul searching. Budget envelopes were key for me at the time. Think about those envelopes that I used to talk about electronically. Cube Money is amazing, so you want to check that out. You can grab my link below for Cube Money if you're interested in trying that out. It's a really good way to help you with budgeting, which you should be doing. You should be doing budgeting. If you didn't before, it's okay. Now that you're listening, if you're first tuning in, understanding your cash flow, things coming in and going out, is really important. And especially if you want to integrate something that you had not been planning for, your budget will let you know and empower you with what you are able to or not able to do. It will help you to say, okay, I need to bring my food versus buying my food because I have money for the ticket, money for the flight, money for the or the travel, and money for the lodging. But food, if it's going to be expensive. I can't really plan for it because I don't know how much. Let me just bring some if I'm driving. Let me just throw some snacks in my bag. So your budget will help you with that as well. So drop down below and get that link to Cute Money if you're interested in doing that. And since the show is about podcasting, you all, people ask me all the time, how much does it take to podcast? What did you do? How did you get started? I actually have an ebook that's really inexpensive. You can drop down below and get it. It's Podcasting 101. I start from why I got started to the equipment that I use to ways you can monetize your show. So drop down below and grab the link to I think it's called Podcasting 101. Drop down and get those 10 really important points that help you get started on podcasting, or if you're already a podcaster and just need some information or just starting off on how somebody who's been podcasting for a long time that have, over 100 and something episodes, go check out that book. Do yourself a favor and grab that down below. So I appreciate you all. It's your girl, Patrina Dixon. The Money Exchange. It's My Money with Patrina Dixon. You can listen to me on every audio platform that have podcasts, or you can watch this on YouTube. And if you're watching, I appreciate you. If you have not subscribed, drop down below and hit that red subscribe button, y'all. Hit that red subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the show, you enjoy what I bring to you, make sure you leave us a comment and let us know that, and share the show. Make sure that other people can get this amazing content that I try to deliver to you twice a month. Okay? Have a great day.